So once you cross your legs, as we've been working on quite a bit, work to roll the buttock towards the back of the knees. So there's a release in the lower back. You can even hold the body up for a few moments on fists to get a greater sense of surrender in the low back, in the sacral region, so the two buttock bones descend from inside. And slowly and gently then set down on those two bones. Take the hands to the front of your knees and just a little bit pull with the arms there to turn the upper arm bones out in order to gain a lift here in the center chest, in order to draw the thoracic spine in. Breathe into the sides of the body, shoulders away from the ears. Now, observe from within how the abdominal region can remain passive. And then gently bring the hands together and close the eyes. Press especially the outer rim of the hand, helping to descend the shoulders away from the ears. And soften the skin across the face, particularly around the eyes and the temples, so that the brain is cool. And then join me for the sound of Om. And then gently release the head down towards the heart center and surrender there. Release the hands with the palms up. Bring the head up with closed eyes. And then gently open the eyes. So come on up to hands and knees. We're going to start with downward dog. So Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog. When you do that, see that the middle finger points straight forward. And when you take that downward dog, again, look to get the weight even throughout the entire rim of your palm. Notice especially the inner portion of the palm. And press that just as evenly as the outer. As the legs awaken, right, and the heels descend, feel that you can also descend the occipital ridge. Press the palms down in order to move the shoulder blades more deeply into the back. And press the heels down to gain a sense of almost a lift in the frontal hip bones. so that there's a relationship between the frontal ribs and the frontal hip bones, as if those two pieces on each side, right, because those are 4 points, as if the frontal ribs and the frontal hip bones were looking at one another. Observe the relationship between the press of the inner hand and the firmness of the triceps. And then walk the hands back to the feet. Fingertips wide now, so that again, as the occipital ridge continues to descend, broaden from the inner armpit to the inner elbow, keeping the collarbones wide. Find how the spreading in the mounds of the foot broaden the back of the legs, inviting a sense of release in the sacral region and the low back region. Now, keeping the legs very stable, kneecaps lifted and all of that. Take a hold of the back of your heels, elbows widening again from the inner armpits to the inner elbows to help the side ribs crawl downward towards the ankles. And then walk the hands forward once again into downward dog. And then take child's pose. Let the forehead rest. Bring the hands behind the back, interlock the fingers, and roll the corners of the shoulders to the ceiling, helping to broaden the collarbones more. Maintain the weight in the outer groins and the hips, and as you exhale, take the arms straight up towards the ceiling, as if you'd like to take them overhead. And then release the arms and change the crossing of your fingers. And again. And then release the arms, hands under your shoulders. Inhale, and come on up. Up. Okay, for just a moment, turn and face forward and take the legs wide into Upavishta Konasana legs. Flow the buttock towards the heels on each side. So the low back is long, hands by the outer hips, and then spread the mounds of the foot, creating a broadness in the back of the legs from the back of the upper knees towards the back of the thighs. Now, as you do that, observe how the back of your heels broaden against the mat. So feel how that kind of implies that they press down. It's not so much that they drive down, but they spread. Observe how that spreading can happen throughout the entirety of the back of your legs. And then take a moment from each side, heel of the hand at the top thigh, press straight down, just to kind of get that separation. Sometimes there's like a stickiness that lives in the hips. You know, your hips do a lot of work all day. And a lot of us hold tension there. So press down there so you feel that separation in some way between the femur bone and the hip. Get the length, heel, all those actions, right, in the legs still. And then come back to center. So we're doing just a little bit of a dance with our legs to help our preparatory work in the class to take us towards back bending. So now use your, let's see, I guess I'll mirror a little bit. Use your right leg and put it in Badakanasana here. So the sole of the foot should be right at your midline, in line with the pubis, in as much as possible. Feel how still the buttock flesh, right side flows to the right heel, left side flows to the left heel. So your straight right leg works just as it did in Upavishta, but I'm straight left leg, but the right leg works to turn out, elongating the inner thigh to the inner knee. Observe how the buttock bones, they'll want to sit unevenly. As you gain the actions in the legs, descend the two buttock bones down as evenly as possible. And then bring the right leg into a Mairasana leg. So heel in front of the buttock bone, and then hands or forearms there right in front of the knees so you can crawl your side ribs up. That right buttock bone will want to hike up. Keep working with your left leg, but descend that right buttock bone down. So again, kind of creating or unsticking that hip region. And then holding on to the ankle, bring that right foot or right leg into Virasana. Heel at the outer hip. Lift the chest, keep working that left leg. And if you look at your right leg, I want you to look right here above the knee, right? So you're right above that patella region. And observe how the inner upper knee tends to descend faster than the outer. This knee should point straight forward. So my left leg is in Upavishta, but my right knee points directly forward. Now, you can put your hands at your outer hips, give yourself a little lift, and roll your outer right knee towards the ground. And then you can kind of start to set the hips down again. But get that outer knee to turn towards the earth. So in other words, you're working to get this kneecap more and more upright. Do you guys see what I'm talking about there? I see a lot of you, now I don't know if it's camera angle or not, but I see several people with this knee over here. Really make it point forward and turn that outer knee down. Good. And then release the leg back to Upavishta. And then of course, other side, Badakanasana. Buttock rolls. The big main reason for this Badakanasana is getting this length of your inner leg. So, if the knee is fragile or something like that, you put your fingers at the inner knee and you lengthen there. Don't force it. You can always be on blankets here if necessary. That means your left buttock bone will go down easier, still work to descend the right. Then, Mairasana leg. Heel close, hold. And there's like a whole series, there's a whole class you can do out of these movements. I'm just using this to just kind of open up the legs to start class with. And then Virasana on this side. Just kind of get the pose in general. Observe what the knee does. Keep the right leg working, but then lift the buttock a little bit and roll that outer knee down. And then you set your hips down again. And you might have to do that several times. In fact, the work's really never done. But this outer knee descending, observe how that changes all the way up into your hip. Good. Keep the hands behind you by the outer hips, right? Otherwise it's just, right? So that your chest is lifted still. It's that division between this part going up and the hips and buttock going down that creates transformation. Now, bring that left leg back to Upavishta. Get the actions of Upavishta. Right leg back into Badakanasana. Lengthen that inner leg to the inner knee. You can use the hand to turn that leg out if you want, right? Then you're going to go from a Badakanasana foot to a foot like Janu Shirshasana. So the foot's just going to flex a little differently. The toes point towards the left leg. And that heel has a sense of lifting up in that way. Hands still behind to lift the chest. Mairasana leg. Virasana leg. Roll that outer knee. Back to Upavishta. And second side. So we start with Badakanasana. Go to Janu Shirshasana. Not a big change, but there is a distinct change in how the shin works. Mairasana leg. And Virasana leg. Roll that outer knee down. Then Upavishta. Hold both inner knees. Badakanasana. Roll the buttock towards the heels. Get that length of the inner legs on both legs now. Deep lift to the chest. And then Dandasana. Now, from here, get a bolster, please. Set the bolster up so it's long ways. We're going to use it for Bravajasana. So sit on the bolster. Bravajasana 1 preparation. Sweep both legs to your left. Set up in Bravajasana. Left leg's in Virasana, right leg's kind of in a swastikasana. Left buttock off, so both outer hips descend. And roll the shoulders back. So we're twisting towards your right. So right arm behind you. Bring the left hand palm down on top of the right knee. Keep that left hip descending, but at the same time, lift the chest and exhale, turn, flow your thick back left ribs towards the left elbow. Flow the front right ribs towards the right elbow. There's a width there beneath the chest, then lift the chest. And then exhale to center, swing the legs forward. We're going to kind of swing through a lot of these Bravajasana for a moment. So go to the second side. Right buttock down, shoulders back. And come on in, palm down on the left knee, turn. Flow those thick back right ribs, flow the front left ribs. So there's a widening in the trunk to turn you. And then exhale back to center. Swing the legs back to the first side. Now we're going for the full pose here. If for any reason you have a hard time with your right hand grabbing your left bicep, you just put it at the back of the bolster again, but the left palm now is up. Descend the left hip, lift the chest. Slide the left hand down to the inner left knee and turn. Feel how that forearm assists those thick back left ribs. Then change the back of the hand to go to the outer right leg and turn. You reach the palm like it's going to go to the floor, and it might. There is a bit of a leaning in this pose to get the turn. And then back to center. Swing the legs forward. Change sides. Left hand grabs right bicep. Sit tall. Slide that hand down the inner right knee. Turn. Go to the outer left leg if you can turn. Catch even that right upper arm turns out. And then back to center. Swing both legs forward. Come forward off of your bolster and then set the bolster aside. Now, it kind of goes without saying, if I go a step too far and you're like, oh, I can't do without, then you use the bolster, right? You use the props you need, even if I'm not instructing it, okay? Because we're just taking it a little bit further now. Now we're just going to do without the props. So you're going to sweep your legs to your left again. Virasana 1. So, wow, it makes a lot more difficult to make the hips level. They won't be completely level, but you work to make them that way. Sweep the front arm around to grab the bicep of your left arm. Same thing. Turn. Lift the chest, turn. Then switch to the outer leg with your left hand, turn. Relax the abdomen, turn. And release to center. Whoops. Swing the legs forward and to the other side. So, we're using these twists of Badakanasana to just kind of loosen the body up. All right. Go on and twist to your left. Turn that upper right arm out. Go to the outer left leg. Turn. And then back to center. Swing the legs forward, Dandasana. Now, Badakanasana 2. So we're going to take it twice in stages. So let's see. Your left leg goes into Virasana. Left buttock descending. Right leg Badakanasana. Flow that inner leg away. So already lift the chest from here. You'll notice the left buttock is lighter than the right buttock. That's normal. And for this one, the arms stay wide. Palm down on your left hand, turn. Take the left hand to the right knee, bend the elbows, turn. Now, that left buttock, it will lift some, and that's okay. You want it to. There's kind of a hugging there in the lower lumbar sacral region on your left side. That is correct. Lift the frontal spine and the chest and turn. And then exhale back to center. So they're not long holds, but they're deep movements, right? Other side. So right leg in Virasana, left leg in Badakanasana. Turn. Feel how that right buttock, it kind of hikes up and there's a grip there on that lumbar region. That's correct. Take the hand to the bent leg and turn to the left leg. Left hand to the right leg and turn. I got those sides mixed up. Sorry. And then back to center. You either repeat in that way or we're taking full Virasana 2. You're turning to the right first. So bring your right leg into Badakanasana first. Flow the buttock away from the low back. Then you hold the foot from beneath. Do not force Padmasana leg. Keep your legs happy. Keep your knees happy. It shouldn't bother your knees. It's an action in the hip. So the right leg should come into a half Padmasana. Okay. Then if the leg is here, you work on binding. If it's in Badakanasana, you keep your hands wide. Now, right arm holds right big toe. Lift the chest. Back of your left hand to your inner left knee to begin and turn. Lift the chest, turn. Then your left hand goes to the outer right knee. Get that upper arm to turn and you turn. Turn to your right. Keep the chest lifted. And then release to center. Lean forward to let that leg come off. Swing both legs forward. Change sides. So Badakanasana first. Lean forward. It helps a good deal. Then, as you're ready, that left arm can bind and hold the left big toe if you're in Padmasana. And inhale, lift, and exhale, turn. Right hand can come to the outer left knee as you deepen into the work. And then release back to center. Release that all. Put the legs in Dandasana for a moment. Buttock to the heels, then spread the mounds of the foot. Downward facing dog. Use that downward dog to open the back of the knees and the outer knees. Both. So outer hips back, open the outer knees, spread the mounds of the foot, spread the back of the legs. Then walk your hands back to your feet for a moment. Come on up just so you can get a blanket. Go on and get a blanket, bring it back to your spot. And take just a moment. So I'm just kind of being extra, I don't know, careful, generous with the knees. But come to sit in Virasana with that blanket behind your knees. Just to give the knees a moment to get really spacious after that half Padmasana and those little half Virasanas. So the calves kind of get massaged out and the thighs too. And we're really just preparing the body to come into a full Virasana, right? So you'll have what you need for that, whether that be a block or a blanket or nothing. You might just sit right on the floor. So whatever is correct for you. We could stay here a long time, but that's another practice. So now come ahead forward, take your feet apart, knees together. You can use your fingers at the back of the knees the way you know how to turn those calves out and sit back now in Virasana. Flow the buttock to the back of the knees. Descend the frontal thighs to lift the chest and be in Virasana. Shoulders back to lift the chest. Parvatasana. Interlock the fingers. Come on up. So a lot of what we're doing today aren't really big, long holds. Come down. But I want to be able to take a lot of movement and action in order to move into the body a little bit more deeply. Relax the knees, put weight in your buttock. Come on down, switch sides. We're coming to Gomukhasana, switch arms. So right arm behind, left arm up. Release, other side. Good. Relax the legs, keep the chest lifted. Release the arm. Gomukhasana one more time each side. Right side behind first. And then left side. Release to center. Paschimo Namaskarasana. So you're going to take both hands behind, palms together. Work to get even the inner hand, to press the inner hand by surrendering the space across the front chest. Open the front armpit chest in order to press the index fingers and the thumbs together behind you. Then release the arms. Now, take the knees apart a little bit. If you need to bring the big toes together, you do. It just depends on your legs. Eventually, you want the heels to stay here in Virasana, but you just see what works for you. Otherwise, the knees get a little angry with some of us, so you decide. Yogi Mudrasana, arms forward now. Flow the frontal body, side body forward. Then hands under the shoulders. Inhale, come up and take downward dog, Adho Mukha. Use that downward dog to open the back of the knees, to lift through the kneecaps. Walk the hands to the feet. Press into the heels, inhale, and come on up. Stand in Tadasana for just a moment. Good. We're taking handstand. So have what you need. Come to any wall. There's one thing I want to say today regarding handstand before we just go to kicking up, and that is this. When you prepare to kick up into handstand, use your downward dog so that, watch my hips at the moment, right? You see how my buttocks lifted and my tailbone is out. It is not in. Keep that rolling of the buttock towards the heels so that your tailbone, right, is not out, but it's in. So that as you come forward, you maintain that. Even as one leg lifts, right? This bottom leg should help maintain that flow, that pranic flow of the tailbone being in. Does that make sense? Try it. Try it. See if that doesn't change anything in your lift and in that buoyancy inside. As you're ready, hands down, find that flow in your downward dog. Walk in. Be way up on the mounds of the foot, but the buttock still flows down. Then one leg lifts in with an exhale. Kick, kick, and come on up. So that when you push the heels up the wall, and when you spread the mounds of the foot, the heels broaden against the wall. That's it. And then release and come down. Hold your elbows. Soft Uttanasana. And then other side. Bring the hands back down. Flow the buttock to the heels as you walk in. You either kick up with the other leg or keep working with the same leg. It's your choice. With an exhale, come on up. Use the wall so the heels push up the wall. Then spread the mounds of the foot, taking the thigh bones back and the tailbone in. And lengthen. Massive length there now. And then gently release and come on down. Once you're done, finish up. Lift the buttock up. Good. And then inhale, come on up. Get a brick and get a strap. Bring those things back to your wall. We're going to take Pincha Mairasana. Okay. So for Pincha, we want to get that strap, you guys know, just above the elbows so that when your elbows are wide, your collarbones remain broad, remain open. So that stability of that strap should help that action, not hinder it, right? If that hinders the openness of the chest, your strap's too tight, that's all. Now, when you go to come into Pincha Mairasana, the same thing applies in your legs. You flow the buttock to your heels so the tailbone's in. You maintain it as you go to kick up, and it will help your kicking up. So when you bring your hands down either side of that brick, the thumb and the index fingers touch the brick. Turn the upper arm out so the collarbones broaden. Relax the abdomen. Now, especially here, drive the inner hand and the inner wrist down. Turn your toes, lift your hips, drive that inner wrist down. If I were there, I would stand on your inner wrist. Walk the toes in, but flow the flesh of the buttock to your heels as you lift the heels up. Feel how there's a connectivity there. Then one leg's going to lift. Keep that connectivity in the leg on the ground and kick. So that the buttock still ascends. Use the wall, put the heels on the wall, drive the heels up the wall more, and then spread the mounds of the foot, getting the kneecaps to lift and the tailbone to move in. Look there at the floor, somewhere between your elbows, or maybe between the forearms. Drive that inner wrist down to lift the legs, inner legs even, up higher. And then come on down. Once you've come down, stand on your 2 feet, feet a little closer together. They don't have to be all the way together, but a little closer together. Hold the elbows in a soft Uttanasana once again. So we're kicking up twice. Once you're down at hands and knees, observe what happens when that inner wrist comes down to the ground. The outer upper arm turns out, supporting that broadness of the collarbones. Maintain that as you turn the toes under and walk in. Lift the other leg, and with your exhale, kick, kick. Heels should come all the way to the wall, heels up, buttock up, then spread the mounds of the foot and observe how the tailbone moves in. The buttock moves more into the body and away from the wall. Press the inner wrists down and crawl the inner legs higher. And then as you're ready, come on down. Just remove the strap. Come up to standing on your legs, feet kind of close. And hold the elbows. So the legs lift up straight. You spread the mounds of the foot. Observe that surrender that can come into the trunk of the body as the weight comes forward in the foot. And then inhale and come all the way back up. Now, we're going to come away from the wall now. So you can bring your mat back to the middle of the room if you like, if you've moved it. We're going towards Supta Virasana. And we're going towards Badakanasana. Yeah. So you're going to put one leg in Virasana. So I'm putting that bolster back there, right? Because I want to use it to teach my body how to lie back, both in Badakanasana and in Supta Virasana. So first, I bend the other leg. That helps me get the buttock flesh to roll away from my low back, which also helps me lift the chest. So then we bring the elbows back. So this is the beginning of Badakanasana. So I drive the elbows down to lift my chest, right? But I use my bent leg to help steer my pelvis and my hips. You see, so that helps me get my buttock to the back of the knee, this knee. I lift, I lift, I lift. That's kind of like a Badakanasana. Now I'm going to let myself lie back over that bolster. And you see the head lies back. And then I can reach my arms and it gets all this space to start to open. This leg is still helping me to lift the buttock and roll it away. That's part of the action. The other action is this thigh descends straight down. So you can do both. You can also hold your elbows and you're sort of in a half Badakanasana shape. So it's a little less stressful on the body and you're sort of in a half Virasana shape too, or Supta Virasana. We'll do that on each side, okay? So go on and get yourself set up. I don't really care which leg you bend first. Do the leg that is happier in Virasana first for you, right? My teacher always would say, get the side that understands it to teach the side that doesn't understand it. So use the leg that understands it the best. Then, and if you need to sit on something here, then you just need to. It's okay. Bend the other leg, put the heel down, and then put your elbows on that bolster and lift your chest. Even if you don't need the bolster, use it. That's it. Deeply lift the chest. Drive the elbows down and broaden the chest. That's it. Feel how you can press into the heel of that one leg to get the buttock to flow away from your lower back. Good. Then when you get that, see about lying the back over the bolster. Now listen, if the Virasana leg's knee needs to lift, that's okay. Just let it lift. It's all right. You reach the arms overhead or preferably hold the elbows. The heel that's on the ground presses to relieve the pressure in your knee that's bent, your Virasana leg. But then you can lengthen the front of that Virasana leg forward to bring the knee down. Breathe into the side ribs, relax your neck. Observe how, especially if your elbows come to the ground behind you, you can push them down. And all these actions work to teach the thoracic spine to move in. And then go ahead and release the arms, push into the bolster, come up, and straighten both legs. Good. Other side. Put the elbows down, lift the chest. Good. Use the heel that's on the ground to get length in the lower back. Lift, lift, lift the chest. Coil the thoracic spine in. Then as you're ready, of course you have to be kind of close to that bolster. My bolster got away from me. There we go. When you're ready, lie back. And you can reach the arms straight if you want, or you can hold the elbows. If you hold the elbows, it's likely now, more likely, that you can get them to come to the ground. If that happens, press them down to coil the upper back in. If the Virasana knee needs to lift, and it does, you reach it forward to bring it down. Breathe. Then release the arms. Inhale, push the elbows down and come on back up. Okay? Cool. Then take your bolster, set it aside, and get your 2 bricks, which I forgot to get. Now, here's the thing. We're going to take this a little bit more deeply now because we're going to work with both legs. Okay? So if you go, gee, that pose is really hard, but I'm kind of getting it doing this one leg at a time thing, then do that. That's fine. But if you can, you see how I'm setting those bricks up? This one's on the lowest flat setting. This is on the medium setting, right on top of the flat one. So now the hardest part of this is juggling those bricks so they stay where they should stay, but you'll do that. Here's what we do next. Assuming you can be in Virasana, you come to Virasana. Just watch, I'm going to show it really quick. So I roll the buttock down, thighs down. Now I have to aim this brick to hit me in my upper back, middle thoracic spine towards the upper portion. So you just kind of test the waters. That's a little low. That's about right. I want to kind of catch those shoulder blades. Don't be satisfied with just wherever, right? But you see how I lift my chest before I ever set it down on the bricks. Walk the shoulder blades onto the bricks. Hold the elbows in reach. Now look at my hips. They want to lift. It's no big deal. Buttock flows to the back of the knees. Then I descend the front thighs. Then you'll change the crossing of your arms. And then we'll come up and out. Get it set up. Flow the buttock to the back of the knees, roll the shoulders back. If you can put your elbows on the floor, do it, because it will really help coil that thoracic spine in, which is what we want. Then you find the placement. Your shoulder blades should be right there, so you can just kind of hook them onto those bricks. Lift the chest, lie the head back, hold the elbows, and reach the elbows overhead. And descend the front thighs. So the head will commonly hang here. If for any reason that's a problem for you, you can always put a blanket under the head. Now, reach the arms and change the crossing of your elbows. We're not here long. Release the arms, push the elbows down, or you can grab your heels. Inhale and come on up. Set the bricks aside, come up, turn your toes, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog pose. Elongate the body in downward dog. From there, feel the buttock flow towards your heels. Spread the mounds of the foot so that it's clear that the tailbone is in. Inhale, and with your exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana, and come to the ground. Once you're down, tailbone in. Once you're down, walk the front thighs back, bring the inner edges of the big toes together. Flow the buttock to the heels, pressing the tops of the feet down. Then interlace your fingers behind your back, roll the shoulders up, lift the chest. So it's like a little Shavasana preparation. Tailbone to the ground to lift the chest up. Then change the crossing of your fingers, and again, lift the chest up. Come down, bring the forearms on the floor in front of you. So we're preparing for Abujangasan, so those big toes reach straight back to deepen the tailbone in. Pull the hands towards you and start to play around with lifting the elbows, tailbone down, like the tailbone's trying to reach the pubic plate. Pull with the hands to coil the upper back in and flow the frontal body up. Then come down. You can bring your hands a little closer. Pull with the arms, coil the upper back, lengthen the frontal body, and come down. Your feet can separate a little bit as you're doing, but you want to always kind of reach them back together and make the inner leg longer. And then you coil up. Lengthen the frontal body when you come down. Now, we're going right into upward dog. So bring your hands by your side ribs, hug the elbows in. Roll the shoulders to the elbows and inhale, come all the way up. Upward facing dog, thighs up, tailbone down. Go over the toes and take downward facing dog. Flow the buttock to the heels. We're doing just that again. Exhale, chaturanga. Come to the ground, Shavasana. Upper back in. Open the armpit chest. Change the crossing of your fingers. Roll the shoulders back, come up again. Make your legs work to lift you. Come down, Abujangasan preparation. Pull with the arms, tailbone deepens, elbows begin to lift. Deepen it if you can. Just take a few rounds there. Remember, the palms keep a sense of pulling to them to relate into the upper back coiling in. And then finally, bring the hands by your side ribs. Your feet can separate a little bit. Upward dog. Downward dog. Flow the buttock to the heels so the tailbone is in and the abdomen is deflated. Exhale, chaturanga. Come to the ground. Now, rest for a moment. Just rest. You can put your forehead down. So bring your forearms forward for Bhujangasana and pull. Feel how when your legs lengthen back, inner big toes stretch them back like a tail, like your inner big toes are like a snake tail. Observe how that can take and deepen the tailbone in, alleviating any kind of pressure in your lower back. Now, cross your left forearm over, bend your right knee, and we're reaching back with the right hand to hold that inner foot. Press the right foot back a little and lift your front right armpit chest. Let that region expand. Then from there, right elbow lifts, turn the palm, and press the right foot down like it's going to be in Virasana. We're not holding this long. Then release that side because I just want to get you in and touch it, and then I'm going to talk about one thing. Back to Abujangasan and then second side. So left leg now. Press the foot back initially, open the front armpit chest of that side. Then to come into the pose, elbow lifts, hand turns, and heel of the hand pushes down. And then release that side. Hands and knees, downward dog. Okay, good. Just bring your knees down for a second. And just sit and just watch for a second. We're going to do that one more time. How are we doing on time? Just barely enough time, but we're going to do that one more time. And I'll tell you why. Because Badakanasana like that is really useful, but it can also be kind of, I don't know, confusing, I guess is the best word. It can be a little confusing as to what is it actually trying to help with. Obviously, it's helping with bending the leg. You know, we did all those Virasanas so that this would be somewhat comfortable. But it should help by taking your tailbone in, by lengthening the front thigh, very similar to how we did in that Virasana and all that other stuff. But there's something that happens in the chest, but it's not very obvious. You have to kind of know to do it. So you don't want this dropping, obviously. You want this armpit chest open. This is what I mean by the armpit chest. Now, when you come into the pose, there's a real tendency to just push down. You see how that shoulder drops? That's incorrect. This hand should push not down, not only down, it should push down and forward. Watch what changes in my chest. So that's a downward push. That's a forward push. It should push down and forward. Do you see how much that changes the quality there? Really important, because then we're going to come into Dhanurasana. And I want that armpit chest to know what it feels like from inside, so that this region in Dhanurasana then can on its own feel this sort of lift and openness from inside, right? So if you get how that hand works in the Ekapada Badakanasana, you'll be able to pick it up a little bit more with more understanding in Dhanurasana. Okay, so let's try that. So last one, just come onto your abdomen. Start with the big toes together so that you can lengthen those inner big toes away from each other like a snake's tail. Tailbone in. Ready? So let's go to the right first. So right hand up, bend the right leg, reach back. Now when you press the foot back, open the right armpit chest like it's going to pull forward. Then bend the right elbow, bring the hand in. But now you press down, yes, but also push forward with the heel of your right hand. So your fingers reach forward and down. Breathe into the right armpit chest, as if that area were like a bright sun with rays stretching out in all directions. Then release that side. Go back to that preparatory action for Abujangasan, tailbone in. And let's take up the second side, so left leg. For just a moment, push that foot back, open the left front chest. Then bend the elbow and bring your foot, leg into that Virasana, but heel of the hand down and forward. To open the rays of the sun in your left chest. in all directions. And then release that leg. Set your forehead down. Flow the buttock to the heels. Bend the knees. Now your knees will separate a little bit. That's fine. Reach back with your hands to your outer ankles now. Press the feet back, lift the chest. Feel the outer knees draw back. Then inhale, lift the thighs up and open the front chest. Rays of the sun in all directions on both sides of the chest. Coil the thoracic spine in. And then release and come on down. Bend the knees. Reach back with your hands to your outer ankles now. Press the feet back, lift the chest. Feel the outer knees draw back. Then inhale, lift the thighs up and open the front chest. Coil the thoracic spine in. And then release and come on down. Hands and knees, downward dog. Walk your feet forward to your hands. And come on up. You can pretty much get rid of all your stuff. We're taking Ardha Padmasana. So if you want to go to a wall, you can, okay? So if you're at a wall, you could put the palm of your hand against the baseboard of the wall. If you're fine being in the middle of the room, be in the middle of the room, and I'll tell you why. Because when we go into Ardha Padmasana, there's one thing that can be, I think, really helpful. And you miss this if you're at a wall. The wall helps for other things. If the wrists are difficult to open, then that alleviates that. And I'll show it before we go in. But the reason I want you, whoops, in the middle of the room is this. So before you go into Dhanurasana, you know the arms are straight. I want you to take your arms overhead and have them straight. Outer upper arms, of course, turn to the ceiling, but you elongate. And it's an excellent preparation for getting your arms to be straight in Dhanurasana, right? So we'll go straight from here, then we'll lift the hips and we'll come to the crown of the head. If you know that, geez, that's really hard for my wrists, then you guys mostly know. Your hands can go like that. You turn them out, thumb and index touch the floor. And that way your wrists have a way easier time of it, right? But you can still get that full back bend, okay? So use that if you want. Otherwise, come with me here in the middle of the room. Now, let's see. I will say before we go, think about how we did all those actions in Virasana, in Paryankasana, with that one leg and then the other leg, right? So frequently we said, you gotta flow to the back of the knees. So feet are hips distance apart, get the weight in your heels. And when you do, press the heels down and feel how the buttock flows to the back of your knees. The low back lengthens and really flattens against the ground. That's correct. Reach up and overhead, facing the ceiling, press the heels so you feel the low back's long, the tailbone's in. Then place the hands beside your ears, fingers pointing to your shoulders. Now, with your exhale, heels down, lift the hips up, tailbone in. Just do that much to begin. Flow the buttock to the back of the knees. Then take a breath. And with your exhale, you're going to come to the crown of the head. Roll the outer upper arms to the ceiling and bear weight in your inner hand. Bear weight in your inner heels for that matter too. Then inhale and exhale, straighten the arms. The weight goes to your feet. Then press the heels and lift the chest. To come down, bend the elbows, tuck the chin, and just lie right back down. Good. Just like that. Take a few breaths right here. We're doing a few of these. So the arms are reaching out of the side waist, but the buttock is from the waist. You place your hands. Inhale. Exhale, lift the hips and come to the crown of the head. Inner hands down, kind of collect yourself here. And then exhale, straighten the arms. The weight will go into the heels, lift through the shin bones, tailbone deepens beneath you. And bear weight in the heel of the hands. Tuck the chin in, come on down. Good, good, good. We're going to do one more, and then we're changing gears. All right. Ready? Reach the arms. Take a breath. Exhale, lift the hips and come to the crown of the head. Come on up. Work to press into the heels of the feet. You can walk the feet in a little bit if you feel like you have the room. Then tuck the chin in and come on down. Straighten your legs. Hug the right knee in. Pull that shin bone straight down. And then let's change side. Right leg straight. Hug the left knee in. Now we're going back to the right side. So once you straighten your left leg, first two fingers to the right big toe. If you need a strap, just use it. Supta Padangusthasana 1. Heel up, press the mound of the foot away. Breathe. Roll that outer right hip away from you. And take the leg out to the side for the lateral stage. Then inhale back up. Reach up with your left hand. Either hold the strap or hold the outer rim of your right foot. Again, roll that right hip away. And begin to bring the right leg towards the left. You want to keep the hip down on the ground for as long as you can. Then when you really feel like, okay, now I've gotten to the maximum there, to take the leg across the body. Flow the right buttock into the right heel as you take that twist. Right buttock to the right heel. Exhale, turn the abdomen, the chest to the right. Then inhale back to center. Give that leg a little hug in again. And change sides. Hold with the first two fingers and Supta Padangusthasana on the left. Move that outer hip away from the waist. Open the leg to the lateral stage, out to the side. Keep the right hip down. And inhale, bring that leg up. Hold with the right hand to the outer left foot. Keep the left hip down as you move the left foot to the right a little bit. Breathe. When you go to cross the leg over, the left buttock bone flows towards the left heel. And you turn your chest and the abdomen to the left. Look straight up to the ceiling. Revolve. And then inhale back up. Hug that left leg in. Hug both legs in. Okay, good. Release the legs. Turn yourself onto the side. Come on up. So we're just going to release the legs in the back a little bit more in shoulder stand. And get your setup for shoulder stand and we'll go on in. Would be best to have a strap for your arms. So what we're going to do is we're going to take Halasana up into shoulder stand. We'll be in shoulder stand a little bit of time, not long, because we're really out of time. We're going to take Ekapada, Sarvangasana. So one leg down, one leg up. We'll do that a couple times. We'll go to Halasana, Supta Konasana, legs wide, maybe a little twist there, and then we're out, and then we're Shavasana, okay? So it's not a long one. So, and that's the explanation of exactly where we're going. So it's not a surprise. When you're ready, just come on in. Once you're up, roll the whole palm to press onto the back. Push the buttock into the heels and bring the inner edges of the feet together. Firm the outer legs to the midline. Crawl the inner legs up higher and higher. And then take the right leg halfway down. Push the right buttock to the right heel. Lift the outer right hip to the ceiling and turn the left leg from outside in. And then bring that leg back up. Ekapada Sarvangasana, second side, left leg halfway down. Flow the left buttock bone into the left heel and lift that outer hip to the sky. Turn the right leg from outside in. And inhale back up. Walk the hands up the back. And then again, right leg. Go first halfway down, then reach through the mound of the foot. Flow the buttock to the heel and bring the right toe to touch the ground. Outer hip lifts, left leg turns from outside in. Inhale, lift that leg up and change sides. Then inhale, come back up to shoulder stand. Be there for about a minute. And then as you exhale, we're going to take both feet down to Halasana. Step the legs wide for Badakanasana. And then right foot to the left foot for Halasana. Once you do that, lift the outer left hip up and flow the right buttock to the right heel. Back to Badakanasana, then left foot to the right foot. Back to Badakanasana. Right foot to the left foot, Halasana. Badakanasana. Left foot to right foot, Halasana. Then come back to regular Halasana. Release your strap. Reach the arms overhead. With your exhale, slowly roll down, vertebra by vertebra. Lengthen the outer waist, the outer hips, until finally the hips set down. You can bend the knees then. And slide yourself back until the shoulders come off of the blankets. Rest there. If you'd like to bring the legs into swastikasana, that's fine. If the legs are crossed, change the crossing. And then for Shavasana, slide yourself back until the hips come all the way to the ground. And the blankets then can support behind the back of the legs. Turn the upper arms out. And rest there. With the eyes closed, settle in. Breathe. Observe the weight of the body on the earth. Observe the length of the exhale. Observe that quiet place at the base of the exhale, when the body is empty and silent. Bring your hands to the frontal body. Reach the right arm overhead and bend your left leg. And turn yourself all the way onto the right hand side. Use your left hand, press the floor away, and come all the way back up to sitting. Oh, and that's all for this afternoon, everyone. Namaskar. So glad you were here.